As things are getting active, I mean, gas prices and people are filling up their gas tanks. People are taking the right precautions. We want to stay vigilant, but we don't want to panic, Danie.
Yeah, that's the important takeaway. It's important to prepare now, have those plans in place, have those hurricane kits prepared, but it's still too early to panic. Although the threat to Southwest Florida, unfortunately, is steadily increasing with each of these model runs and the trends that we're seeing, there's still a lot of time for these tracks to change. And as we know, living on the Florida Peninsula, a couple hundred miles east or west, which technically is what we look at in terms of the track difference with these models 5 days out, really could be the difference whether or not we see impacts at all. So it's important to be prepared, but it's also important not to panic. We still have plenty of time as we head into the next couple of days to work out these questions. As for right now, take a look at Irma. Clearly a strong, healthy hurricane. Take a look at that eye, so pronounced. And we are seeing the outer bands impacting the northern leeward islands as we start the morning. Wind speeds right now of 150 miles per hour. That's as of the latest update from the National Hurricane Center, but hurricane hunters are out there right now, and some reports are coming back with wind speeds much stronger. In fact, that update was just released. It's a Category 5 at this point. Sorry, I'm just getting this information. So wind speeds at 175 miles per hour, which is unbelievable. Gusts at 185. So a strong Category 5 hurricane as it approaches the Leeward Islands. That is an absolutely devastating and catastrophic hurricane for these islands. Hurricane warnings have been issued, and hopefully their plans are in place, because a Category 5, that is pretty impressive. As it continues to track west and northwest, it does still look like it'll weaken. The official track from the National Hurricane Center staying a Category 4 as it approaches the Virgin Islands and Puerto Rico. But again, 175 mile per hour winds right now. That is pretty incredible. Good news is still Category 4 as it continues to track through the Caribbean, although we could potentially see that change. As far as the official track as it approaches the Florida Peninsula, right now it still looks like a Category 4 hurricane, and that's because the official track from the NHC keeps it north of Cuba, and that is kind of our last line of defense in terms of tearing apart these hurricanes at such mountainous terrain that it tends to weaken them. But right now still looks like a Category 4 staying north of Cuba. But what it doesn't indicate is that northward turn that the models still do. And that is the key to our entire forecast. That is the key to the potential impacts and the severity of them to Southwest Florida. So let's look at some of those models. This is what we're looking at as Irma continues to track north and west over Hispaniola, over Cuba. Looks very tightly clustered, so very good agreement there. But as it takes that turn to the north, things get a little bit more questionable, if you will. So still having some unanswered questions there, which means, again, still time for things to change. Although we certainly need to prepare, because looking at the European model, looking at the GFS, which is the American model, both very dependable models, both showing potential impacts as we head into this weekend. European model, as it stands right now, Sunday into Monday is when this would make landfall. According to this model, at this particular time, Sunday into Monday, and track up the peninsula here as a very strong and powerful hurricane. The GFS, the latest run, actually shifts it a little further east, similar to Matthew, with the eye hugging the east coast. Although again, one run of one model can't necessarily be trusted. It would continue to track up north as well, and impacts potentially would still be felt in Southwest Florida, but not as severe if the eye stays off the east coast. But this right here is why it is still far too early to tell you exactly what's going to happen as we head into this weekend. The ensemble plots of the GFS, so this is that model that I just showed you, several runs of it with just one or two factors change, and you can see the spread here. Some keep it off the east coast, a lot keep it right over the peninsula, some now even keeping it or pushing it further west into the Gulf. So still time for this track to change. And again, a couple hundred miles this way, a couple hundred miles this way, really changes our forecast in terms of the potential impacts. Why? I know the big question that I keep hearing is, why is it turning north? And that's because of the steering factors we have in the atmosphere. It's all up to the atmospheric motion, if you will. We have a ridge of high pressure over the Atlantic that Irma is just trying to get around. And then we have a dip in the jet stream, an upper level trough that's going to push that ridge either east or west. So this is what we see happening as we head into midweek. That dip in the jet stream going to come down south and then push back up north. When that happens, this ridge of high pressure will be allowed to sneak back in further west. And the further west that ridge of high pressure goes, the further west Irma will go to try to get around it. So that's why this is really the key to the entire forecast. If we can get that trough to stick around a little longer, the ridge isn't as far west and Irma can sneak by the east side. But the way models are trending right now, it does look like that threat to Southwest Florida is real. It's increasing. So it's important to be prepared. This is the main takeaway that I want you to hear from this forecast. The bottom line is the threat is increasing for Southwest Florida, but we still don't know the severity of the impacts because it's all dependent on when that northerly turn is taken and where it is taken. So what I want you to do is prepare. It is time to prepare. It's time to get those hurricane kits put together, time to get those hurricanes plans in place, but there is still time for the eventual track to change. And of course, we'll bring you all of those updates as it does. But it is time to prepare as we head into the next couple of days. As